Hello and welcome to the one and only Madam Web Spoilercast and Review. We gathered all four humans that watched this movie into one podcast. I'm your host, Dan Video Games, and with me is Bob.
Pained groan.
From GigaBoots, Dr. Aggro.
The S is for significance.
And Chris Wolfhard.
I love exposition!
Homestar Runner convinced me the S is for sucks, Dr. Aggro, so I'm not sure what you said is correct.
That's correct in this case, yes.
For anyone who hasn't listened to one of our Spoilercast reviews before, what we're going to do is at the beginning, we're going to make an instinctive noise, a guttural sound, if you will, to let you know how we feel about the movie, preceded by a couple sentences summarizing our thoughts and feelings. Then we'll open up, talk about the film with specific details, anecdotes, comparisons, criticisms, praises. And then at the end, we will give you our final thoughts and each of us giving a score out of 1 to 10, even though this should be on our series Curse Content Club, where we get to use the -5 to 5 scale.
It's hard to wrangle that in a theater.
Yeah, it's really hard to record a commentary track in a live theater setting. Okay, well, let's get to it. We're going to open our thoughts and guttural sounds with Chris Wolfhard.
This movie, Madam Web is incompetent in every way a film can be incompetent. How?
We now move on to Bob. Bob.
That sure was a series of scenes put together in a seemingly random order at times. I'm gonna give it a
Dr. Aggro.
Madam Web is a film so inexplicably clumsy and scared of its own content that my brain tried to violently convince me that it was, in fact, 2004.
Madam Web is a Twitter thread someone would write to condemn the modern film industry for what it thinks a movie is currently. Shockingly, though, this is in theaters and I did watch it. And with our sounds and thoughts out of the way, let's get into it. So I assume every human who watched this noticed this, but maybe that's not the case. The main villain seemingly cannot speak English. Almost every line he delivers in the film is ADR'd in.
Right? Like I don't... Is that what happened? Like, actually? He can't speak English?
I don't think so.
They made a telenovela star or something.
It's so bizarre. I can't think of any other reason that he would only deliver 2 lines to the camera in the entire film.
I think what happened is massive rewrites required them to re-record everything he said.
Yes, I would say that is probably closer, yeah.
But I mean, still... Like, I don't claim to know a lot about the filmmaking process. I'm not an expert. I've never really been involved in it. But I feel like if you're hiring a guy to play your main villain in your feature-length film, you can see multiple people. Like, you don't have to just go with the first guy that shows up. You can check to see that they're able to do it before you hire them.
Well, they didn't do that for anybody in this movie.
Yeah,
so.
if it's rewrites, that's even weirder, because if it's rewrites and not like oh crap, we found out he can't speak English and act at the same time, you would think they could do reshoots, because most of his scenes are him sitting in a weird cuck shed with NSA technology going, I am going to get those teenage girls. And it's like, did you not have the incredible green screen set anymore? What's your explanation for this? I have a youth, okay? My youth was spent let's say 1 out of 20 films my parents took me to see in theaters was actually good. The rest were terrible. Some of them were terrible, and it was in service of it being like for example, Malibu's Most Wanted, right? That movie's entire premise means it has to be awful.
Right.
But it was in service of that. This movie, I think, is worse than anything they ever took me to watch it. That is confounding as an experience.
This is you can't. This isn't even one of those bad movies. Like, I will give Madam Web this. It has a couple funny scenes, but they drown in a sea of we're just going to have characters stare at the camera and deliver exposition because we didn't film any of the shit in this movie.
And it's even weirder because the exposition inherently all the time makes no sense.
Yeah, it does feel a lot like one of those movies you'd see show up on riff tracks because it was just so bad.
Right, this movie should have been made in the 70s by some guy who thinks he knows how movies are made.
Right, like that's what comes off.
You're totally right.
Like, there are places that will teach you to write dialogue for free.
This movie... God, it's...
Okay, so let's just cover some quick basics, okay? Our bad guy...
It's a Surf Dracula movie. It's a Surf Dracula movie. Nothing happens in this movie. It's a prequel to when things happen.
I've heard people say this out Surf Dracula's. Because, like, it's not the end of the movie. Technically, it's still after the movie ended. Technically, on the timeline, the movie's main premise didn't occur.
Yeah, in Surf Dracula, he surfs at the end.
Right. Madam Web isn't like working with these 3 teenage girls with their spider ability to solve crime by the end of the movie. She is merely blind and in a wheelchair and can see things psychically. It's like, that's not technically what you're selling us on in the trailers, the marketing material, the sequences throughout the movie.
Yeah, if you're curious about what our thumbnail means, none of those teenage girls get superpowers or get in costumes in this movie. A character sees them in a vision in the future having powers and wearing superhero costumes, but they don't actually do it in this movie.
It is confounding.
That got you in the theater, didn't it? Oh, it didn't? Oh, no.
So minor thing. The villain in this is supposed to be a comic character named Ezekiel Sims.
Okay.
First of all, in the comics, he isn't a villain.
Weird choice. Okay.
He is a much stupider character where he went and did like shamanistic shit to get Spider-Man powers to become a hero, and then is like, well, I need a base to be a hero. I better become a corporate millionaire so I can have the funds to be a hero. And then he went, oh shit, I'm too busy being a CEO to be a superhero now.
That's pretty funny and has a good core for a character. Unlike the antagonist of this film.
And Ezekiel Sims is deeply tied to one of the worst Spider-Man characters of all times, Morlun. Morlun, who is not Morbius nor related to Morbius.
Okay.
Morlun is a weird cosmic vampire that only feeds on people with animal-based powers.
Awesome.
You know, what's that name? I thought he was going to be a wizard.
He's kind of a wizard, but there was absolutely a fucking post-credit scene with Morlun that got cut because they were like, oh, this fucking movie isn't making money.
Yeah, they, okay, so after this movie, I was so floored by how bad it is, which it is terrible. Madam Web is terrible in a way that people said Morbius was, and it isn't. This is worse than Morbius significantly. You don't have to believe me either. The Rotten Tomatoes, Madam Web is 2 points lower right now. Can you imagine when anyone other than the 4 of us watches it? It's genuinely, but they did a post-credits in Morbius, okay? I'm sure people have probably heard about this, where it's like, Michael Keaton, I think, his character from Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah.
Cross dimensions. Yes, the Vulture across dimensions. And for some reason, they show a scene where it's like, oh, he was teleported inside of an insane asylum or a prison, and they don't even know why he's here or who he is. So he's going to be, like, let loose tomorrow. That scene happens, credits play. Then another scene happens where he flies up as the Vulture to Morbius, and he's like, hey, man, I don't know how I got here. I think it's that Spider-Man fellow. Anyways, we should team up. And then Morbius goes, that sounds good, basically. And the movie ends. And I'm like, why do they continue having the weirdest post-credits thing?
Intriguing.
I thought the Vulture thing was going to be in Venom 2. So that's why I was disappointed when we got to the end of Venom 2 and it was that, not that.
No, it was a different one.
No, in the end of Venom 2, he gets teleported into...
Right. Venom gets teleported into
No Way Home for 2 seconds, and then they don't meet, and then he teleports back, and that was that crossover.
So, Chris, you 100% have to be right. There was a Moreland tease at the end of this that they just cut because they looked at this film and said, we need to stop.
There was nothing after the credits, which was astounding.
Yeah. Because Moreland's whole thing is like he feeds on, like he specifically is like, I'm going to suck Spider-Man, because at that point in time, this was like the early aughts, they had transitioned to like, well, Spider-Man actually got his powers from like a mystic spider spirit that just possessed the spider that bit him. So and this is tying into all that mysticism shit with the cult, with the tribe in Peru that they meet for 2 seconds. So thank God that one of them adapting one of the worst Spider-Man characters ever has seemingly just been shot in the head.
Can we talk about the Peru stuff?
Yeah, what about Peru? The Peruvian spider tribe people or the Peruvian super spiders? Which
I mean both.
Okay.
But mainly that spider tribe, when Madam Web is born, they're like, oh, when she comes back here, we'll tell her everything.
Yeah.
That's like, why did you need to write a scene where they said that, for one?
That something horrible went wrong in the production of this film. I don't even think that, like, having seen Morbius, they write some dumb stuff in Morbius, like, and then Morbius gets in the weird bat chamber to make out with bats. But like that, this is a whole nother tier, man.
Yeah, they need to have that. Then why did they send her to America to be raised? What?
I don't know. They don't.
How did they even get her into the American foster program? That makes no sense. And then I was like, how are we getting back to Peru? Who knows? It's going to only going to be something cool.
Cab.
Yeah, she'll somehow just teleport there. I'm like, this didn't successfully do anything.
It's okay. This movie took place in 2003, and she was a wanted criminal because she had just kidnapped 3 teenage girls, something that the radio broadcast within the hour and was on nighttime television by the end of the day in New York fucking City. She somehow got on a plane. It's okay. It wasn't post 9/11, was it?
Well, Dan, let me explain that part, because there is an explanation for that part. Okay. Originally, this movie was set in the 90s because it was supposed to be tied. It was supposed to be tied into the Sony Spider-Man movies with Andrew Garfield, and then they decided we'll tie it into the Marvel ones. So they had to move the timeline forward so Tom Holland could be born at the end of the movie. Also,
what insanity?
Why did the police decide? So the police just decided There's this angle of like, well, it's Ezekiel Sims somehow tricked the police, but then that never comes up nor is explained. So it just...
Yeah, there's so many bizarre things moment to moment in this film of like, okay, so my grand plan for protecting these 3 teens is to leave them in a random park I drove to, drive all the way back to my apartment to look at the book my mom left me, drive back. The teens are now at a diner. They left the part of the park I left them in. One version, okay, so if you haven't seen this movie, Madam Web sees the future. So she sees that they're at the diner and they're going to get attacked. So she walks to the diner and tries to save them. It doesn't go well. That whole thing was a vision. So she warps back in time. Now she's getting in the cab to drive to the diner and is driving insanely fast and she gets there later than just walking. Like, I'm not nitpicking. This sort of thing happens so nonstop in this film where it's like, did you stop at any moment to make fucking sense?
Yeah, like things happen in weird orders. Information is commented on before it's revealed. This film is a great example of why they give out an Academy Award for editing, because it's an actual skill and you can be very, very bad at it.
Yeah, I think my favorite moment with that was when she's reading about the spider tribe and the powers they get. She reads the part about them getting superpowers, being able to climb walls. So then she tries to climb the wall and can't. And then in the next scene, she reads about, they can see the future. It's like, no, you need to read that first, because that's the thing you can do. You can't do the other things.
You know, that diner scene is the only good scene in the movie, specifically the part where he kills everyone in the vision.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that the only good scene in the movie is when she hits him with the car.
Yes, she does that twice. It's great.
That was also pretty good.
That's her superpower, to hit people with a vehicle. That's
so not to get ahead, but why does being hit at a car going at like 40 miles an hour, which is not slow?
No, it is not.
Why does he just walk that off, but having a sign fall on him kills him instantly?
It was infused with the power of fatalism and corporate logo. his weakness in life is the Pepsi logo.
Also, his powers are unclear.
He's Spider-Man. He just has Spider-Man powers.
Yeah, but and he's also got like the future sight, but he doesn't seem to have spider sense because he keeps getting hit by shit.
He's getting hit by cars.
I came up with a theory. I went to see this with Xeon.
Yeah,
and we came up with a theory that the Peruvian guy kept saying that he stole the spider, so he was cursed. He has evil spider sense, which fucks him over because multiple times in this movie, danger's coming at him, so he leaps straight into the air, into the path of an ambulance or a pipe a teenage girl threw or some other shit that wouldn't have hit him if he didn't leap straight up.
Yeah, no, he's got really bad instincts. That's probably the same instincts that led him to shoot everyone down in the camp instead of just finding a way to get bit and run away.
I mean, the vision that prompts his entire "I have to kill these 3 women" thing, nothing like it ever happens.
Right.
Like, he sees them as like the superhero team who defeats him, but that never happens, and it isn't even really implied that he changed his own fate in this more negative way. It kind of just comes off like they didn't give a shit.
Oh yeah, no. How changing the future works is fucked. Like the first thing they do is she sees O'Neill, like the guy. Is he captain? I don't know how EMTs work. She sees him die, so she holds him up before he drives off in the ambulance. But that delay was what caused him to get hit by that garbage truck. And then, the very next thing she does is that pigeon bullshit with the window where her powers work in a completely different way now.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah, being able to see the future, taking your own action, like quantum future sight where it takes the vision into account is like the most useless power ever. It only exists to fuck you over.
Yeah,
it's just
that's that freak shit.
You're just being vexed. This isn't a gift.
I'm pretty sure this is technically a mental illness.
How did she have a psychic conversation?
Well, Aggro, they needed her to get that information and didn't know how else she could do it.
God damn it.
Yeah, that made literally no sense. It was in her vision, she went there and talked to him. He was there for some reason to tell her this.
Yeah. It is so upsetting. I don't need this movie to adhere to the rules of reality, but I need it to have some sort of cohesion and rule set that it remotely abides by.
Or a character that has an arc and not just a brainstorming session napkin of buzzwords.
Right, and that's the thing I was going to bring up.
This movie doesn't have a character.
God, she's so bad.
This movie doesn't have a theme. This movie doesn't have a bad guy with good motive or a character. It's so weird.
I feel like I could see the outline of what they wanted to make.
Yeah.
You can see they want her to become a mother figure to these characters and to feel like she needs to raise them. They don't accomplish that at all.
They didn't write that at all.
They literally,
when you said I could see what they wanted to make, it's a movie to appeal to women, teenage girls specifically, hopefully, maybe. And they failed at that too.
Also
it appeals to no one.
At the beginning of it, I thought that we were going with, she's going to be actually autistic or something. That's why she's horrible at dealing with the social situations.
Yeah, because that's the only thing they give her character.
And then they just dropped that. That they just forgot they did that, I think.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't have time.
She half learns so many lessons. She learns to not be mad at her mom, and then she also learns to make plans, and she learns to, look out for other people, which was a weird thing we didn't address because she's a fucking EMT. Why is that the end of her arc?
Right. There's also the part where she's I'm going to teach these 3 teenage girls the most important technique in life, CPR. I'm what? Resuscitating someone is the absolute foremost thing you need to teach these 3 teenage girls to save them from Spider-Man, but evil?
Yes.
Yeah, that's...
Well, he might stop their heart.
I mean, he has the touchy venom thing. So having watched this and knowing this is written by the same people who wrote Morbius, I expected to go into Morbius, the legendarily bad movie that everyone made fun of on the internet, and the same things would have happened. They forgot to write characters. They forgot to write a theme to the movie. They forgot to characterize the bad guy at all or give him an emotional hook. No, all of those are there. That movie's dumb, but all of those are there. There's like a reason the bad guy is the way he is. There's a reason the main guy has like an emotional conflict with the bad guy. There's an idea with the movie in the least. And I was just floored. I was genuinely just floored. I'm like, then how the fuck did they forget to do that for Madam fucking Web? What? What? Were they held at gunpoint to make this script?
It has to have 4 superheroes. Or 0.
I feel like this is what happens when you get a director who has only worked on TV shows.
Oh, is that what's up with the director?
Yes, they have only worked on episodes of TV shows, and they also threw in for the script in addition to the script writers. So I just assume it was that, like, yeah, we had somebody who... Everybody was woefully unprepared to make this movie.
Yeah, like the whole thing, especially the few shots of the girls in their costumes. Like, this felt like the prequel to Nightman or some shit. Like a Lois and Clark era superhero show.
Right.
Yeah.
It really does have those vibes nonstop and that level of visual clarity.
Poor Adam Scott, the guy that got to play Ben Parker.
Uh-huh.
Who's doing just a tremendous job of trying to tentpole this movie in every scene he's in.
Right, he's trying to act so hard, but they literally give him nothing. Yeah. It's so unreal. So then my working theory became, as I watched Morbius, and it was surprisingly good compared to this. Like, my working theory became maybe that director just saved that film, or the actors cared enough to be like, yeah, I need something here to fill out this character. Because the weird thing is, apparently
clearly no one in Madam Web had that.
No, that's the weirdest thing. You watch Madam Web, and you can watch interviews and stuff, and you could tell no one wanted to be in this movie by the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
No, but this movie had... Nobody even is making fun of this movie. At least Morbius had its Morbin time.
Right.
At least people posted him going, intriguing, constantly. Nobody's gonna give a shit about Madam Web. There's not a single notable thing about it. The funniest thing about Madame Web is the villain's costume is Party City Spider-Man.
I think the thing the internet has attached to so far is the S falling. Because it happens in the vision when she falls in the water, and then it looks just as bad when it happens at the end of the film. So people are like, look at this S. It's really funny.
Honestly, that sign was the most my brain lit up during this movie. Like, it pulled out to show the wide shot. I'm like, oh shit, this is where Highlander ended.
Oh my God, you're right.
Yeah.
That was such a better final fight.
I have to ask you guys, because in the theater the day of, I couldn't believe it. I was like, Dan, I know you drank the lemonade that kills you in order to stay alert this whole film, but clearly you're just suffering from brain death right now in the theater. This can't be true. The location of the conclusion of this film is, in fact, the building that had a fire earlier in the film, and thus, in no world would be loaded with fireworks still, right?
Yeah, the old abandoned fireworks factory.
Why?
In my mind, that was the second old abandoned firework factory right next to the first one.
Okay, so the first one had a fire, and they left all the fireworks in the second one.
Yeah, for
Well,
2 weeks.
they put yellow tape up.
Oh my God, that doesn't make any...
No, it makes literally no sense.
That's the
There is a shot. There's a shot at that warehouse that is going to haunt me until I die.
Which one?
I don't know if they were like trying to pull a Raimi, like this whole movie looks like it was made in 2004. Where she's talking to Ezekiel, she's like, you thought those girls were your future. And just the shittiest, weakest push zoom.
Yes.
No, I was.
Yeah, no, that was hilarious.
We laughed so hard at that in the theater. That was unbelievably. What did you think you were doing with this moment? This is a comedy punch zoom from The Office.
Do you think that originally this ending was supposed to, she was supposed to go back in time, and this is before the fire at the beginning of the movie?
No,
probably not.
No way. There's no way.
And that she
There's
caused
no way.
that?
Oh my God. Oh man. At least that would make any sense, but that now makes me wonder, did the writers not understand Madam Web's abilities?
I mean, her abilities are very vague.
So
they are very vague.
They are.
They basically just have her do fucking whatever.
Right. She makes 4 clones of herself, And then
Oh,
I was
that's
like,
so funny.
I
And
was
they
like,
tell you it's going to happen.
right.
Yeah.
They do.
Like she has the whole vision of how it's going to go, and then you hear Ezekiel saying, "You can't save them all," and then the Peruvian guy's like, "You will, for some reason, be able to be in multiple places at once." And I'm like, "Thanks." Now I've still got to fucking sit here and watch this for 15
And
minutes.
see, that's core to my theory of when Dakota, whatever her name, Dakota Fanning or whatever, said you're going to see the movie twice. She meant the movie literally shows you itself twice. You're fucked if you're in the theater, bro.
Yeah, and then at the end she loses the ability to walk. So I'm like, did she need that to do the in 4 places at once, or are those the actual projections, or what? Because I was going through it before that. She's somehow able to literally like go through time 3 times and do different things and cause clones.
See, you're thinking about it more than anyone who saw it or the writers thought about it. Just so you know, you're literally like, well, obviously these are 3 simultaneous timelines. To be fair, I was also thinking it's that, but it's like they didn't like I had to shut my brain down from thinking about it that much because it's like they didn't.
Yeah,
Why
and
should
then-
I?
and
Yeah,
then
no, they didn't care.
That's
Yeah.
unfair to me.
They just show her at the end floating in the egg web. I'm like, whatever.
It's her going to Peru is so insane because when it happened, I just thought aloud, like when we watched Remember Me and Agra's, like these 2 characters will have a falling out for 13 minutes. I was like, she will be in Peru for 8 minutes, maybe. And that was almost exactly how long she is in Peru in that movie. It's like she literally just goes and he's like, you have powers. Also, your mom wanted the spider so you wouldn't die of a hereditary disease.
I was laughing so hard that they needed that hard of a motivation. It's like, ma'am, you are pregnant and your daughter has this horrible disorder. And she's like, I am going to own you by going to Peru and finding the super spider. And I'm just like, what is this conversation? You walked in knowing she had the disorder? Why is she telling you that then? What is going on? There are a lot of layers of not making any fucking sense in this film. And then to distract me from that level of wondering, like, so she knew her child because she already did the research. So this conversation's about something. And as I'm trying to finish the thought of like, so then this person's telling her the thing she already knows so they can have this, so she can own them by saying that's when they time travel hug. And I'm like, No, I'm done thinking. We're done with that. I'm just going to...
She's like, I hated you for so long. And the mom's like, bitch, why? I'm about to go to Peru for your dumbass.
This really has that energy of one of those movies that had like 4 scripts that they squashed into one movie, but it doesn't have that many writers. So I don't fucking know.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it really... This really does come off as you can only make it this much of a mush by doing ceaseless reshoots, but none of it seems to have a level of giving a shit in it that would inspire a reshoot.
What if instead of reshoot, we just redub the entire villain?
How do you take this many passes at a script and just not check the dialogue a second time?
Those 3 teenage girls will learn.
Oh my God.
They are at the subway station. Why are they all there at once? I must go find them.
That fucking... Okay, so they're in the hotel and like they go to sleep and she fucks off. She comes back in the morning. In the morning, I decide I need to go to the bathroom because they're about to have a conversation where no one learns anything new. And that's what they were doing when I left, and that's what they were doing when I came back.
Aggro, I went to pee at the same time in a different state.
Isn't that where they learned CPR, though? You missed out on that.
I came back in time for CPR, and I'm like, what?
CPR was in the middle of that conversation?
Yeah.
God
yeah, she
damn
just
it.
instructs them
Was
on how
it
to
a
restart a
montage?
heart. No, it's a really long, uninspired scene where they just show
my
them how to do
God.
it. And then you get tired after 1 minute. So then you pass off to her so she can do it. And then you get tired after 1 minute. So you pass off to her. And if you don't sync up your timing, the person will die. And I'm like, this is the clumsiest one of these. This is the worst Chekhov's gun I've ever fucking seen. Literally, this movie is confoundingly bad in ways I didn't think was possible because, once again, it is literally not hyperbole, listener. The bad guy delivers 2 unedited sentences in the entire film. All of the rest of it is ADR'd over him actually saying a line that they thought they should replace, or them ADRing him as he walks behind a monitor so you can't see that he's not saying it, or him walking in a scene and we're going to show his back while he gives the most stilted, like, oh, these teenage girls, they vex me so much. Let's go get them.
How did his assistant find them based on a description of a vision he had?
That was some movie magic, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, I have these things drawn up, and they're like, you have pictures of them from his vision? What?
I've then used a computer to de-age them to teenage girls.
I have routed NSA computers to my home network in 2004. There's no way we're getting caught.
There should the twist of this movie should have been it was all wrong. Like I de-aged them incorrectly, so we were just trying to kill people we didn't even know. Like they had nothing to do with any of it.
Like we're hooked into every camera and surveillance system in the city. There's no way I have the bandwidth to look at any of this shit.
Yeah, there is a lot of like, guys, it's 2003. What?
Based on your dream, I have found a black teenager, a white teenager with blonde hair, and a white teenager with black hair. Oh, are these the girls? Sure.
Look, it's clearly some kind of alternate history because that guy has a PSP and that wasn't out yet.
I know. I was so upset. I was like, Sony, this is your own fucking movie.
He stole one from a TGS, okay?
Wait a minute. This was 2004. They didn't say what months, did they? That motherfucker went to Japan.
2003, I think.
Well, if it was 2004, that motherfucker went to Japan in December, got the PSP, came back to America, and sat on that bus or train.
It probably was 2003, though.
It probably was 2000. I think it was 2003. But I'm going to entertain for what just this one thing in this movie could be right. I'm going to pretend.
I like seeing the old style Pepsi can. They should bring it back. They should bring it back from Madam Web.
Oh my God.
I sure hope PepsiCo gave them a lot of money considering that they're constantly raising Pepsi and Doritos bags and Mountain Dew cans up into the view constantly.
Yeah, there was even that one scene. It's like, you're going to give me those Doritos or whatever. Or wait, am I thinking of Morbius? Because in Morbius, he's like, and leave the spicy Cheetos or whatever, Fritos. And I'm like, that's a weird, why is that here? And I swear they did another one in Madam Web. There was another scene where the Doritos were an important thing.
I don't remember
a scene.
I feel like you're right, that there was a Doritos scene. But what always stands out to me is the barbecue scene where the entire focus of every shot is the Pepsi can she's holding.
Yeah, it's so unsettling. It's fucking weird. It literally... I don't know how to describe it, but it is unsettlingly, this is just an ad I'm watching.
Yes.
And it's not the fact they're holding a thing in a scene or the camera's focused on the thing. This literally looks like an ad.
Uh-huh.
The image quality, the acting, the lack of anything fucking happening. I am serious when I say I think this is one of the worst. This is the worst movie I've seen in a theater. I cannot scrape out of my brain something worse.
Yeah, this movie was like I've seen, like, there are all kinds of ways to be bad. This movie was paced.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have to compare it to The Master of Disguise. That's the only thing I think measures.
I bet they don't backdub ADR style Dana Carvey delivering jokes.
I don't know. They might.
They might like once, but it's not like the whole movie. They don't go, oh, fuck. He forgot to deliver any jokes.
Man, did the villain kill all those police officers? Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Yeah, which makes it so insane that it's like, he took over he somehow convinced them that she's evil with his connections that we don't see. We just have to infer it because nothing else makes sense.
And then she drives around a stolen taxi cab for the rest of the movie.
Yeah. And it's fine. Nothing comes of that. Somehow they don't notice the specific, unique license plate taxi cab.
She takes the license plate off of, so it's even more suspicious.
Would they really notice that in New York City? Yeah, I think they might. What an unbelievably bad film. Like, more so than either Venom, Morbius, or anything else they've done. This movie is the most damning evidence that Sony should have the Spider-Man rights wrestled away from them.
Oh yeah,
This is dire.
can that Kraven the Hunter movie be worse?
No.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
No.
Because here's the thing, Kraven the Hunter, they'll probably remember to write, like I've seen a trailer, they remembered to write a thing for him. Whereas Madam Web, as we've been discussing, she doesn't have a character other than she came off as kind of on the spectrum because she's incredibly bad at social occasions and things. But then that doesn't happen or matter, really.
Right.
I imagine they're going to write a thing for him based on that trailer. I mean, once again, I watched Morbius expecting it to be as bad as Madam Web because the same writers.
Uh-huh.
And no, it was dumb, but it was fine. Like, it's not even... Like, I think the fact it's only 2 points higher on Rotten Tomatoes is a crime. I wish Madam Web crawled into a chamber full of bats to make out with them. There's even a scene, okay? I'm trying to remember where it was in Morbius, but I think it's Costa Rica. He goes to Costa Rica to go to a cave because vampire bats. And there's this whole scene, and I'm like, I bet by the end of this, it's going to be a lot more, like, makes sense than the Peru shit and fucking Madam Web. And sure enough, yeah, it was a lot less weird, as it turns out, when you don't get bit by a spider, so you deliver your child and then have someone go, she will return here someday and I will explain the plot. You know, that's a really high bar of stupid to hurdle over. It's genuinely shocking how dumb this film is.
I do expect that Kraven movie to be better because, for one, both the directors and the writers feel like they kind of understand like what they need to be doing more. Like, one of the screenwriters wrote all the fucking wrote one of the Expendables movies and one of those Tom Cruise Jack Reacher movies. And then the other writers wrote, I think, Punisher Warzone.
I don't know. This isn't winning a lot of confidence in me. It's worth noting the people who did Morbius and Madam Web apparently did Iron Man 1.
Huh.
Which is really bizarre. That's really, really bizarre because most people would look at Iron Man 1 as like a pretty good film of its time.
Yeah.
That doesn't... I don't think that's right. I was just looking at it the other day, and that seemed like it was...
Okay.
Yeah, the screenplays thereon are Dracula Untold, The Last Witch Hunter, Gods of Egypt, Power Rangers 2017, Morbius, and Madam Web.
So they literally have just made the worst films of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is
How do
the
they keep getting
Kraven
work?
writer, I think, that worked on Iron Man.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, then that movie's going to be fine in comparison.
Yeah, like that. Like most of those credits are like, yeah, just make a generic action movie. That'll be 100 times better than whatever Madam Web is.
Yeah. I know because I watched like Morbius.
Uh-huh.
So here's the thing, okay? Morbius has any amount of staying power because it's like a horror-themed superhero movie, right?
Uh-huh.
He's a vampire. It's like lots of blood, like, you know, grotesque, like murder and shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what this was supposed to...
It has ladies and visions.
That's not...
I don't know. Like, that's not really a selling point,
If you
I don't think.
the fact you wrote a story about women, reminder, half of the population, is an angle. You need to be fired out of a cannon.
Well, I think Sony communications about this movie have already leaked where they blame its failure on women and like the concept of women.
Didn't they also make the Ghostbusters reboot? Like, I don't care what Sony Pictures is willing to blame for not doing well for a movie. Like, God. So
they were like in Times Square for near the end of the movie. Why'd they run to an abandoned fireworks factory? That just doesn't seem like a good idea.
My only thing I'm left wondering at the end of all of this is the Marvels the best of these three films? Is it better than Morbius?
It has to be.
I don't know. Morbius was pretty good, honestly. After watching Madam Web, I'm watching Morbius going, oh man, the bad guy has motivation. I don't know that the bad guy in the Marvels will.
I don't know if there is a bad guy in the Marvels.
Me neither. That's really concerning. There might even be visions in that. I'm pretty sure that's going to happen, and that might trigger me now.
No, we can't have visions.
The Marvels has to be better than Madam Web, though. There's like no.
Like, there are very few movies that are worse.
It'll have a post-credit sequence.
Yeah.
Unlike Madam Web, for some reason didn't, and that was awkward. That
the
was genuine.
Credits was before the credits when we got to see them actually be the superheroes for a scene. Well, a frame or so.
Right, like an implied scene.
Yeah,
a scene didn't occur necessarily.
They posed for a poster. Is that good enough?
No.
I honestly think that, like, when you cut a trailer in the way they cut the trailer to this, like, you should go to jail. You should be allowed to sue a movie studio for false advertising if their trailer has frames all the shit that doesn't happen in the movie is happening in the movie.
Hmm.
I actually do have one more question. Why did the black spider lady in the future, the one with the fro, why did she stick that baby in the microwave?
God damn it.
No, Dan, they reversed the footage. She took the baby out of the microwave.
I knew the internet did that to me. Jeez. I can't believe they're doing it again. Wait, now that's an interesting question. Which one?
And then she put on the wig.
Yeah, no. I honestly, Chris, I think you're onto something. Normally, I don't agree with that notion, but this film is just absolutely gross in how much it's like, the thing you told me would happen was not in this film. Barely anything is in this film, and none of it makes sense.
So much of the marketing material for this movie features those girls in the costumes that are in one fucking vision scene. Like, they're in one shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Like, the promo material has them, like, doing different poses in like the web dimension. But it's like none of that shit happens. They don't even get powers at the end of the movie.
Yeah, there's no even implication as to how they might get powers.
right.
Like, I thought there would at least be that for one of them.
Yeah, but for some reason they forgot to write any of that at all.
And also, I don't think she took any legal action to take guardianship of those children. She's still kidnapping them.
Yeah, no, it's true. But it's okay because their parents suck? Question mark?
I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the parents aren't there, but
And others are in psych wards, I think it was. One of them, there's like, my mother went into the psych ward, so I went to my dad, and he's remarried, and none of them like me. And I'm like, okay, Madam Webb, if I may, you don't even know that that's true. It's just the thing she said. She might be misinterpreting things in the family dynamic. Do not just kidnap this child based on that one sentence.
Yeah, that and a minor thing. How about you get a gun?
No.
Any of you.
I will teach them CPR.
Like, he's clearly not, like, considering that a sign falling on him is able to do him in, I'm not sure he'd deal so well with a bullet.
You don't even have to aim directly at him. Just fire the gun. He'll jump straight up into the path of the bullet.
right. Nothing here implies that he can dodge bullets.
Like, his primary strat seems to be to do, like, the Dr. Livesey walk on the ceiling towards you.
Which was great. That was one of the best shots in the film. It's him just walking completely erect towards them, and it's supposed to be menacing, but it's way too funny. What a...
There's no reason she should become paraplegic.
Yeah, I was also baffled that when they pulled her out, she was like that. It was like, what happened? I guess that her hitting the water broke her spine or something.
Second time, she got one for free.
Yeah, she got one for free.
She's good that first time. Second time, nah, the web's got to take something. By the way, that was not like spiritual or metaphysical. There is a giant web that connects all of us in like in the bay.
I mean, with the rest of this movie, sure.
Yeah. If that was true about this film, it would be the single thing that made the most sense in the movie. Yeah. If anyone listening to this is like, man, this should have been on Cursed Content Club, you're totally right. I didn't go into the theater expecting this to be a very commentary trackable film. Otherwise, maybe would have waited. I just wanted to go see, because the trailer made it look so hilariously bad, right? Mm-hmm. And then you go see it, and it's like, oh, this isn't even cogent. Like, that's the level of just pasted together all of the scenes in this movie are, all of the writing, all the non-characters. Like, you see a trailer and it's like, this relationship's going to be a thing between, them. So look forward to that. And it's like, she doesn't have a relationship with anyone. No one has any important connections, but we sure do get the birth of Peter Parker. Remember at the baby shower when they're like, can you guess his name? That was way too funny.
What?
That was such a dumb scene. Because his name's Peter, and the movie's like, this is such a cool thing we're doing. And I'm like, no, it isn't.
I desperately need to know the mindset of the Sony executive that is so invested in this Spider-Man universe without Spider-Man shit.
It's what they can make, and they think it will trick people to keep watching these films because it worked for Venom, but they don't realize that's because it's Venom.
Yeah, that's Venom.
It's because it's Venom. Venom is one of the most popular comic characters in human history.
Dan had to tell me about that
The Peter Parker thing.
Peter Parker thing at the end of the movie, because I wasn't even like connecting this to Spider-Man in any way.
Meanwhile, I'm just cracking up every time they roll out the responsibility line.
Oh
Yes.
my God. When the Peruvian guy feeds her that line, and she has this moment that it doesn't look right in the movie, but it's perfect because it's the exact look I had on my face of distracted frustration and anger.
It's like if someone couldn't remember the Ben Parker line about power and responsibility. That's what he delivered to her in Peru.
Yes, he did it backwards and wrong in every way.
It's so
Like they have
so funny.
they have like 8 more of these and 2 TV shows in development.
Fuck you.
They have fucking a Sinister Six movie somehow. All these have been in development for like 10 years, by the way. They've been devoted to this stupid fucking idea for a while. A Night Watch, a character I don't know who it is. Me, the one who reads the comics. I don't know who this motherfucker is. A jackpot movie. That's Mary Jane's superhero identity. The El Muerto movie, which I think they already fucking canceled. A Hypno Hustler movie.
What?
Who is a disco-themed mind control villain.
I'm just sitting here like, why didn't you just choose one of these other Spider Women that you had here, like Anya or something, and give them a movie instead of Madam Web and trying to throw in 3 more Spider Women?
I have to assume they are not allowed to have a movie called Spider-Woman. Like, I have to
you're
assume
probably
that
right.
something related to that, and so they just have to try and fake it. And maybe Sony Motion Pictures should be shut down.
Yeah, this movie is the first evidence I've had for, no, really, there should be legal protections here. I'm starting to feel the same way about them as I felt about WB for at least a little while here, where it's just like, Warner needs to be stopped.
I am willing to bet if I sat down and watched the Flash TV show, I would think, oh man, it's so much better than these fucking Sony not Spider-Man movies.
This one easily. That fucking show clears this easily.
Yeah, and that's a CW show. Those are the butt of every joke.
Which is what this felt like by the end. Like, this episode's been going on a long time.
Yeah, this feels
Season
like
starter.
it feels like a compilation movie for a bad Netflix show.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Like if you compressed a 6-hour-long 6-episode Netflix show into a 100-minute movie.
Oh man, they should do that.
They should.
I don't want to have to watch all of that Resident Evil show. Just show me the good parts.
Weird. They left
just
it
that
all
Olive
of
Garden.
Olive Garden. Yeah. We need to wrap this at some point. And the most frustrating thing, listener, is when we hit the stop recording button and then an hour later we go, oh, we forgot to mention blank. But we're never going to be able to scrape all of that out of our brains and into the microphone. But we have this last moment to try individually to get our last little things we're going to say before this final review and our scores of 1 to 10. Is there anything anyone wants to mention that was in this film that should be shown to the public via our voices?
I feel like there wasn't literally anything else in the movie, so no.
Right, like there's a je ne sais quoi with this film that is incredibly hard to encapsulate with words and descriptions. Where it's like, no, she just then steals a taxi cab. And then they're in the backseat and they're beating teenage girls and she's like, shut up, and closes the fucking window. And then that just keeps going. Okay, well, I guess we're going to move on to our few sentence reviews individually here at the end in our individual scores on a scale of 1 to 10. I'm going to start with Dr. Agro.
There are a lot of movies that don't come together or make choices that I don't really like. This movie was a mess put together with people who had skill unequal to the task. It's like a 3 because at least I'm going to forget it.
The bottom 2 digits are for just angering you forever.
Yes, no, the bottom 2 digits are for like hate crimes and shit.
Birth of a Nation getting weirdly close to Madam Web on the scale. Oh, man. Chris.
This is... I feel like I've seen worse movies, but I don't think I've ever seen a more incompetent one. So 3.
Bob.
Yeah, this was just terribly put together in every way it could have been. It hardly qualifies as a film. I'm going to have to give it a 3 as well.
I look back at this film and I genuinely wonder what the writer thought of anything at any given moment. Individual scenes, entire characters, how things are delivered. Like, okay, writer, why the Pepsi logo? What is your weird obsession with this one specific fireworks warehouse? Why is she an EMT when she has so many troubles connecting with other people? Is to just show that she's a good person because you accidentally wrote a person that is really unlikable? I don't understand you. Between that, the visual effects looking laughably bad. Like, the visions of the future of these 3 spider women reminds me of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. That is the level these visual effects come in at. Except, no, that
looked better, yeah.
Yeah, that looked...
You mean that movie that's 21 years old, I think?
Yeah. That I saw in a theater and should qualify for, is it worse than this? And no, that easily clears this film. I'm giving it a 2. This is genuinely confoundingly bad, and I do not know how Sony Pictures went, yeah, it's done. Drive it to the theater, dumbass.
Yeah, we're sitting here like Warner Brothers won't even release movies that are supposedly good.
Right.
And Sony Pictures will just put out anything.
Clearly that is the case. Clearly that is the case. I'm going to need everyone who clowns on Morbius to have watched this film so you can understand what a terrible film looks like. Because Morbius is bad. This is unreasonably bad. This is well beyond that. Anyways, that's going to give it 11 points total, giving it an average of 2.75. They got to stop. This has to be the end, right?
Well, they got a few that are almost done, like Craven, so we're not...
Yeah, Craven. I think Craven will probably be the end of this experiment.
Come on, Mysterio movie.
Oh, that would be so good.
That was in development at one point in time.
Yeah, I haven't heard about it in a while. I assume they canceled it.
I mean, Mysterio's the main character in a Spider-Man movie, so that probably just ended that.
Right, true. Marvel's like slapping their wrist, and Sony's like, come on. Now we're going to have to make Madam Web. The executive producers for this GigaBoots video are Esme, Ely Broyles, Spaceman Spiff, Red Blaze 27, Brendan O'Sullivan, A Reminder for Symphony of War, Cooper Tank, Very Best Plot, Iconic Bane, and Rado. Thank you very much to our executive producers. And also these guys. If you want to become an executive producer or normal patron, head on over to patreon.com/gigaboots today.